I'm Sangeeta Venkatesh, and welcome to my channel where we sojourn together to various parts of India and the globe and understand the culture and history of many destinations. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, that would be wonderful, just as an energy exchange. We have lived in Chennai, or Madras as it was known in the past, and we have family there. And God knows how many times we have gone past the Fort St. George. As a child, I remember my father taking us there, but I have no memory of it until I visited it again recently. So, the Fort St. George is located on the eastern shores of Chennai, which we knew it as Madras. It is a symbol of the British East India Company's legacy in India. So when we arrived in Chennai for some work recently, we went past the Napier's Bridge, which was painted like a chessboard during the international chess competition event earlier this year. So the Napier Bridge spans over the Coovam River, connecting Fort St. George area with the Marina Beach. So this was also built during the colonial era, and the bridge is named after Lord Napier, who was the governor of Madras from 1866 to 1872. So when we reached there and we parked the car outside and made our way to the ticketing counter, where honestly we struggled to scan the QR code to make the payment. I don't know why it was that, or, the maybe the network or whatever. But I do wish that the ticketing process could be faster and smoother because it is such a nominal fare of rupees 725 or so. So that's wonderful. So it is highly accessible to all walks of people of all walks of life. So anyway, we continue to get inside. But before I continue, I must acknowledge that the research for this piece is from the book Madras Miscellany by S. Muttaya, and also the blogs by the author and historian V. Sriram. In fact, I will not be going to such detail because they have really researched and given it to the people out there, and I will link their work in the description box, as I could never do justice to this phase of colonial history with the passion that they have done so. So, with that disclaimer, I want to say that Fort St. George was built in 1644, and it was the first English fortress in India and marked the beginning of the British colonial rule in the country. The East India Company, which had entered India around 1600 for trading activities, had begun their licensed trading at Surat, which was its initial bastion. However, to secure its trade lines and commercial interests in the spice trade, it felt the necessity of a port closer to the Malaccan Straits, and they succeeded in purchasing a piece of coastal land and also the permission to build the fort from the local Raja of Chandragiri, which is now in Andhra Pradesh, in 1639. So then the fort was completed in April 23rd, 1644, which was basically coinciding with St. George's Day. And they wanted to do that to celebrate in the honor of the patron saint of Britain. So the fort was hence christened as Fort St. George. The fort served as the headquarters of the East India Company in South India, and as the fort grew, the small, sleepy fishing villages along the Bay of Bengal turned into a mighty colonial fortification and a hub of business activity. And of course, today it serves as a seat of Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly, but there are these several colonial buildings which were now once part of the fort, of course, are now buzzing with office activities. But yes, the area still has the colonial charm. Now, the fort complex is still surrounded by a high wall and surrounded by a moat. The complex also houses several cannons, many of them which have been captured in the Anglo-Mysore wars of where when the British defeated Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, and also although the fort complex is gently open to the public, the interiors of only few buildings are accessible, and those are the buildings which I will take you through. So, number one, of course, would be the Fort Museum that I just spoke about, and it opened to the public on January 31st, 1948. after all the artifacts and memorabilia were organized in the building. Now, it was Colonel D.M. Reed, a former Madras guardsman, who proposed in 1946 that a museum should be established to store the Raj artifacts discovered strewn about the fort. At the entrance of the museum is the state of Lord Cornwallis. The marble pedestal of the statue has a bas relief of Cornwallis receiving the two sons of Tipu Sultan as hostage. Well, that's the history which we won't go in through about the wars that happened. But the museum highlights includes weapons, uniforms, coins, documents, and paintings from the British and French and other colonial powers. And there are nearly about 3,500 colonial era artifacts with 9 galleries showcasing some of the best of them. Now, what is really exciting is that it also displays India's national treasure, one of the first flags hoisted on August 15, 1947, and perhaps the only surviving flag from the momentous day. It was crafted from pure silk and was ceremoniously hoisted at 5:30 a.m. on August 15, 1947 at Fort St. George. Now, as you walk towards the next, building, that is the St. Mary's Church, you also come across the Clive House, which is another example of colonial architecture. Now, the building, originally called Admiralty House, bears a plaque that reads, Robert First, Lord Clive, lived in this building in the year 1753, truly great in arms and in council. Now, Robert Clive, also known as Clive of India, was the first British governor of the Bengal presidency. And Clive has been, of course, he has been credited for laying the foundation of the British East India Company rule in Bengal. And while we were going, of course, we went, of course, went past a Quartex showroom, which, of course, must be a recent addition, and you see plenty of presence of the Indian Army too. So we arrived at the St. Mary's Church, and this was built in 1680 and is the oldest masonry structure of St. George. It also happens to be the oldest Anglican church of the subcontinent. Now, the church is quite white, and it's milky white, and it dominates the fort skyline. The interiors are complete with a beautiful altar depicting the Last Supper. Several ornate marble plaques and intricate stained glass windows are part of the church ornamentation. And this church is also known as the Westminster Abbey of the East. So, yeah, along with the the plaques and antique furniture and the stained glass windows. Now, this church also holds the tombstone of several British officers and their families. Now, an interesting historical nugget is that in 1753, Robert Clive married Margaret Mescaline at this church. Now, Robert Clive, as we just had this conversation, that he was the first British governor of Bengal president, but of course, soon after his wedding, he actually left for England, but returned in 1755 as the East India Company established itself in Bengal. Then there is another historical figure from the East India Company that is associated with the St. Mary's Church, and that is Job Charnock. Now, Job Charnock was an English administrator with the East India Company, and his daughters were baptized in this church. Now, the baptism font, the tub, that is the tub used for baptism, can still be seen and it's made from a type of a shiny stone, which is a dark colored rock. Now, the stone was later named as Charconite after Job Charnock. I'm sorry, it was named as Charnockite. Sorry for the mix-up. It is Charnockite after Job Charnock. Now, incidentally, Charnock's tomb in Kolkata is also built of the same stone. That is a dark-colored quartz feldspar rock that basically contains orthopyroxene, and which lends to the dark color, and it is formed at a high temperature and pressure. Now, it is a metamorphic rock that can be that can also be formed through the igneous processes. Now, these are the ones which you can really, these buildings are the ones which you can visit, and they are preserved. But there is another building which is of historical significance, but the house is in ruins. And this was the house of Arthur Wellesley, who became the first Duke of Wellington. Now, he was also the Prime Minister of England and once the Major General of British forces in Madras. He was also amongst the commanders who ended the Anglo-Mysore Wars when Tipu Sultan was killed in the Fourth War in 1799. And he was also amongst those who ended the Napoleonic Wars in victory when the Seventh Coalition defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Well, this house is derelict and has been claimed by overgrowth of trees, and how it reached this state is anyone's guess. But anyway, one of the that's how it is, and one of the predominant features of Fort St. George, which shows that the fort always had a strong army presence, is the Parade Square, the Barrack Square, and the Cornwallis Square. Now, there is the flagstaff within the fort premises, which stands about 150 feet tall, and it was one of the tallest flagstaffs in India at the time. Of course, the Secretariat is also there, and while it is an important landmark and it showcases colonial era administrative architecture, this is not open to the public. So that was a quick roundup of Fort St. George, and I hope you found value in this video. If so, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button. And there are the other attractions nearby if you want to combine, would be the Marina Beach and the Santom Basilica. So until next time, namaste from me, Sangeeta Venkatesh.